viewers, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Crime Watch, a program where we highlight to you our roles and operations, as well as strengthen our relationship with you, members of the public. I am your host, Onesisa Sibanda. The International Criminal Police Organization, known as Interpol, is an international organization that facilitates worldwide policing and crime control. Interpol has its headquarters in Lyon, France, and is the world's largest international police organization with 7 regional bureaux worldwide and a national central bureau in all 195 member states. Zimbabwe has been a member of the Interpol since independence, and the Southern Africa Interpol Regional Bureau is housed here in Zimbabwe, Harare. The Interpol President, Major General Dr. Ahmed Naizer Al-Raisi, visited the country as part of his visits to different Interpol bureaus in Africa. His main purpose is to assess policing in Africa, take note of the challenges being encountered, and come up with solutions on how to assist and improve policing in Africa and the whole world. The Commissioner General of Police, Thandabantu Godwin Matanga, welcomed the Interpol President.
Mr. President, you will agree with me that criminal elements are a minority, while upright citizens are the majority. Furthermore, criminal sophistry continues to assume higher levels. However, the need to ensure that citizens live in peace, free from the fear of crime, is a vital imperative. Our conviction as a country has been to tirelessly strengthen cooperation at national, bilateral, regional, and international levels, so as to embolden the fight against all manner of crime. It is undeniable that through strengthening solidarity at all these levels, society is able to effectively keep criminals at bay. Zimbabwe is exceedingly cognizant of the Interpol resolutions made during the General Assembly in New Delhi, India, as well as the 25th African Regional Conference held in Cotonou, Benin. We have already made significant achievements, hence our determination to religiously implement these milestone resolutions. For instance, under Resolution 1, which seeks to strengthen collaborative response to disrupting financial crime and corruption, the country has an established Commercial Crime Division, CCD, that investigates financial crimes. During the period under review, the country made significant achievements in combating money laundering and financing of terrorism. 16 cases were filed at the courts. 3 cases of unexplained wealth orders were issued by the courts. 2 cases of freezing interdict orders were obtained. 6 money laundering cases were referred to the courts. Last but not least, under Resolution 5, which seeks to support countries in their efforts to identify and investigate online child sexual abuse, Zimbabwe has a dedicated victim-friendly unit for investigating all crimes related to domestic and sexual abuse. The victim-friendly unit has a database on the Interpol Child Sexual Exploitation, and a team from the Interpol General Secretariat recently equipped 21 victim-friendly unit officers with the requisite knowledge on the use of this vital database. Indeed, such capacity building efforts will go a long way in promoting a safer world that jealously protects the vulnerable in our society. Zimbabwe continues to cooperate with other Interpol member countries in Africa towards the implementation of the African Union Agenda 2063 flagship projects. in the country's quest to play its part in silencing the guns in Africa, as envisioned under the Amnesty Month, Zimbabwe recovered a total of 580 firearms and 260 rounds of ammunition, which were surrendered at various stations across the country.
It was a 3-day visit which saw the Interpol president meeting the president of Zimbabwe, His Excellency Dr. Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, after having earlier met the Minister of Home Affairs and Cultural Heritage, Honorable Kazembe Kazembe. The Interpol president also toured the Interpol Regional Bureau, where he held a virtual meeting with all Southern Africa heads of National Central Bureau, and then toured the Harare National Central Bureau, located at the Criminal Investigations Department headquarters.
Zimbabwe is having the coordination through this office also with the 16 countries in this region, where they have all the capability buildings, fighting the cyber crimes, drugs, and also the human trafficking and the crime of the environment. When they have certain operations and joined by like 20 countries, and it's led by Zimbabwe, this shows the capabilities and also the willingness from their side to work together and to have the international cooperation in front of their agenda. And this kind of operation dismantled organized crime in narcotics and firearms, also with a huge number of arrests, which is around 2,000 arrests and millions of illicit goods. So there is some tangible outcomes from these operations.
The Commissioner General of Police hosted a farewell dinner to mark the end of the 3-day visit, where the Interpol president and his delegation were treated to entertaining music by the Zimbabwe Republic Police Band. Moving on, Zeterapi CID homicide arrested 3 accused persons for cases of armed robbery. This arrest led to the recovery of various goods, including firearms. Let us get the story in detail.
Recently, in Harare and Chitungwiza, we've been having numerous cases of armed robbery cases where the criminals were using dangerous weapons like machetes and firearms. The accused persons were using a white Nissan NV 350 Combi vehicle, which our officers managed to identify as belonging to accused Alexio Mpamura, aged 29 years, who resides in Zimre Park. So our crack team managed to identify the place of residence for the accused person, and they laid an ambush at his house. The accused person then arrived at his place of residence driving a Toyota Wish, registration number AFA 8576, black in color. And upon seeing our officers, he immediately tried to flee. So our officers, they fired warning shots, but the accused person did not take heed. They then fired at the vehicle, but the accused person managed to escape from the scene and drove for about 400 meters. He stopped his vehicle, got out of his vehicle and fled into a maize field with our officers in hot pursuit. He collapsed onto the ground and they managed to apprehend him. And they noticed that he had been injured earlier on when they were firing at his vehicle, so they arrested him and brought him back to his vehicle. So our detectives then searched the Toyota Wish, and in that vehicle they found some laptops, some solar batteries, some solar panels, some inverters, various clothing, which immediately they identified as having been stolen. So Alexio Mpamura was then interviewed by our officers, and he implicated one Deliverance Nyasha Makomva, aged 21 years, who resides also in Zimre Park, who is related to Alexio Mpamura. And this led our detectives to the arrest of Deliverance Nyasha Makomva, also in Zimre Park. Upon being arrested, Deliverance Nyasha Makomba was driving a white Honda Fit, and our officers searched that motor vehicle, and they also recovered some stolen property which was similar to the ones which had been recovered from Alexio Mpamura, and the same property had also been stolen during an armed robbery the same night. The two accused persons were then interviewed by our officers, and they implicated 4 other accomplices who are still at large, and they indicated that those 4 who were at large had taken some of the property which they had stolen. These 2 accused persons are being linked to more than 10 cases of armed robbery cases which were perpetrated in Harare and Chitungwiza and the surrounding areas. The recovered property has been taken to CID homicide, where some of the complainants have managed to identify their stolen property, while some of the property is yet to be identified, and we are appealing to those complainants who lost their property through similar cases to come forward and try to identify their property, which we are still holding at CID homicide, Harare. As the police, we are appealing to the generality of our population not to keep large amounts of cash at their premises, which will attract criminals, and also to employ security guards and improve their security at their premises so that they can guard against their property. In another case where the criminals were using machetes to assault their victims, our team of detectives received information to the effect that one brave Joe, alias Kudamoyo, aged 37 years, residing in Unit A, Seke, Chitungwiza, was involved in these cases. Brave Joe had been seen in Bari, and they proceeded there where they came across the accused person. And the accused person, upon seeing our detectives, he started firing at them, and there was an exchange of gunfire, which subsequently led to the arrest of the accused person. Upon being interviewed, a brave Joe implicated one Tapiwa Mbirimi, alias Captain, aged 35 years, who resides in Nkulumane 11 in Blawayo. And he also indicated that he is the one who had given him the firearm which they had been using. Tapiwa Mbirimi indicated that he was involved in these criminal activities, and he was searched, and upon him, the detectives recovered another firearm. This firearm was then traced and found to have been stolen in a case of armed robbery which had occurred in Zengeza. Our detectives managed to recover various clothing, laptops, cell phones, which had been stolen through armed robbery cases, and they were brought to CID homicide. The arrested accused persons managed to clear 11 attempted murder cases where they were using machetes and firearms, and also 6 armed robbery cases which occurred in Zengeza, Chitungwiza, and Mayambara areas.
In other news, the Operation No to Dangerous Drugs and Illicit Substances, See Something, Say Something, is still ongoing, and as at 13 February 2023, the accumulative figure of arrests was at 2,152, and various drugs and substances have been seized nationwide. With that story, we'll take a short break. Join us in the second segment. We are in the second segment of Crime Watch. Thank you for staying with us. Children are tomorrow's leaders, and it is everyone's responsibility to create a good learning environment that is free from drug and substance abuse and also free from bullying. Zetherapy Rotsville visited Churchill Boys High School, and together with other stakeholders such as Childline Zimbabwe, Ministry of Public Service, Labor and Social Welfare, and the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, conducted a campaign against bullying and drugs and substance abuse.
Drug abuse in our community and schools is on the rise. Boys and girls are now into serious drug abuse. This is a worrisome and who never assume that you are safe as kids here. When we notice that a child has engaged himself in drugs, we should not develop a negative attitude toward that person, because they are still young and there is still chance for them to rehabilitate and get back to good behaviors in the community. And you, school children, you need to understand. You need to listen to whatever advice you are being given by teachers, be it parents. And they may not be your biological parents, but you need to take heed of whatever they are telling you. We need a country that is good in the future.
We want to encourage you to report any form of abuse which may happen to you at school, at home, on your way, when you are going back home. You should always report. No one has the right to abuse you. You have the right to your freedom. No one has the right to beat you up. No one has the right to bully you online safety. We are also encouraging online safety. As Childline, we are saying, if you are bullied online, always call 116. Online, on physical spaces, at home, always call 116. That's a free line where you can call anytime, 24/7. You can call and report your case. Do not be silent, always report.
After receiving the video, we apparently called the students who were involved in that clip, and that in order to find out what exactly happened. The students hadn't reported even to their parents. I then asked the students to go and report to the police. It was reported first to our local police, who referred the two young men to Braeside Police, where the incident had taken place.
Moving on to this week's traffic segment, let us hear more from the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe.
We have witnessed a growing number of motorists who create third lanes and who drive against oncoming traffic. This is common when there is traffic congestion, prompting the impatient and disobedient driver to illegally divert to a lane of oncoming traffic. This type of reckless driving has led to several head-on collisions with oncoming vehicles. It has also resulted in a number of road crashes involving pedestrians. Over and above, this type of reckless driving creates confusion among other road users, disturbing the smooth flow of traffic. Driving against oncoming traffic is one of the dangerous and devastating traffic offenses we are battling with in this country. The Highway Code, under rules for drivers, encourages the proper use of road lanes. The only time a driver is expected to drive on the oncoming lane is when there is an official diversion due to road construction or maintenance. No one, irrespective of their status, should drive against oncoming traffic. As Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, would like to urge the motoring public to adhere to traffic laws and avoid driving against oncoming traffic for the avoidance of injury, death, and property damage that are as a result of road crashes.
We are in the third and final segment of Crime Watch. As the technology advances, cases of cybercrime such as card cloning also continue to rise. Criminals are always devising new ways of defrauding unsuspecting members of the public. Let us hear more from the CID Commercial Crimes Division spokesperson, Detective Sergeant Johannes Chitiki, as he educates us on card cloning.
We are always in record on doing crime awareness campaigns, that is on card cloning in particular, whereby criminals are using fake debit and credit cards to withdraw money from banks using illegal means. Information is retrieved by these criminals from the bankers, mostly in the supermarkets, whereby there's what we call shoulder surfing, whereby a criminal will be behind the victim. The victim will be intending to make his purchase on the point of sale, and the criminal will be standing just behind that victim, and he will be either holding his cell phone, or you might use his eyes to just take the PIN number of the victim without him or her noticing. We urge viewers to observe some preventive measures which were seen prudent enough to protect the money, the hard-earned money, from being stolen by the criminals. One, never share your PIN card with a third party. And secondly, you should always be vigilant whilst you are queuing when you intend to make some purchases in your supermarket. And be wary of the person who might be behind you, so that it doesn't take information from your bank card. And we also urge viewers not to just throw those receipts which you get from the point of sale machine outside the supermarket. Those receipts will be used by criminals to manufacture fake debit and credit cards. And we also advise viewers to make a report as soon as possible, whilst we notice any suspicious charges or some transactions being done on your account.
Before we come to the end of this week's episode, the Zimbabwe Republic Police is looking for these two women appearing on the screen. They are wanted in connection with theft cases whereby they use the famous Chadona style to dupe members of the public. They drop a bunch of money in front of an unsuspecting victim, and then the victim will think that they have found money. These fraudsters then claim that they found the money together with the victim, and they demand that they share. They then instruct the victim to leave behind all their possessions, go somewhere secluded to count the money. They then tell the victim that they will guard their possessions whilst they count the money. The victim will then notice that it is not money but fake banknotes, and these fraudsters will have ran away with the victim's possessions. Anyone with information that may help in the location of those people can contact any nearest police establishment or contact us on the following details. Visit our website www.zrp.gov.zw or email us on feedback@zrp.gov.zw. You can also link with us on our Twitter handle @PoliceZimbabwe or our Facebook page Zimbabwe Republic Police. If you miss any of our Crime Watch episodes, you can watch them on our YouTube channel Zimbabwe Republic Police. You can also visit our National Complaints Desk at the Police General Headquarters or call us on 0242 703 631. This brings us to the end of this week's episode. From me, Onesisa Sivanda, and the crew behind the scenes, pleasant viewing.